Hey guys, I wanted to make this video talking about healing at home with your parents. I live at home with my mom, and if you hear this is a heater. That's the noise that you're hearing. Hopefully, I'm gonna be talking loud enough so it's drowning it out. Or hopefully you can hear me and it's not disturbing what I'm saying too much. And there's my dog, and I have a cup of tea, and this tea is very hot, and I have retainers in, so hopefully my retainers don't melt. But if I won't tell my orthodontist if you guys won't. Okay, healing at home when you live with your mom, especially when your relationship with your mom is very toxic and you really see things for what they are and not what you want them to be, and not the potential on what you wish it could be, and you truly see that your mom, you're not meant to take your family with you, you're not meant to stay in contact with your family, is hard. Because for me, a lot of wounds reopen when my mom and I have an argument, when, she says things to me or projects onto me, and I feel very misunderstood. I feel very spoken over. I feel like she doesn't care to give me the space and the time to express myself in the way that I want, and she's not very accepting of that, and she wants me to get a job. She wants me to go to school, and I understand that from her perspective. I understand that, from her conditioning, from her upbringing, from her beliefs, and everything that she's experienced in her life and her circumstances. That's the life that she chose. That's the path that she went down, and she's projecting that onto me like those are the only options. But as for me, as somebody who is doing the work, I see past those limitations. I see past those options, because I know that my life is meant for something more than what she is telling me that is being offered or whatever. And I get it. And I didn't get that before. This is something, a lot of these realizations that I've had, and these just, seeing past the projections and the illusions, is something that is kind of new. It's something that I'm really starting to integrate into myself, because I've spent a lot of time going to my mom, wanting to talk about things that she has said let me slow down. I've wanted to address a lot of things that she has said, things that she has done that has caused me emotional and mental harm. And she doesn't receive it very well. She flies off the handle like that. It goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. And it's very scary. Yelling is triggering for me. Because I live in a family that does not know how to healthily communicate. And even me, I'm not exempt from this. I've learned this from them. That is something that I'm definitely working on. Because nothing constructive gets done from yelling at each other. Even with these types of conversations where I do talk about my emotions and I'm vulnerable towards her, I recognize that she is not somebody that I can trust and is not a safe space for me. And for a long time, holding space for my inner child and her experience, she has felt I felt this void. I've been very dissatisfied and disappointed by my relationships with my parents, mostly my parents, because if anything, I've always felt this deep love for them. And I feel like every child has that for their parents, right? I feel like the love that you feel for your parents is kind of unmatched. It's very deep. When you don't have the relationship and the bond that you wish you had with them, is heartbreaking. And it's even more heartbreaking when they aren't willing to put in the effort to make it work, when they're not willing to put in the work to liberate themselves from their own illusions and their own ego, their own projections that have been bringing a wedge into the relationship with their own child. Because for me, I see it. I feel very disconnected on an emotional level with my family, especially my parents. And I feel like I'm the only one who cares enough to actually say it and see it for what it is and to do something about it. My mom to me has said that like she wants to be closer with me, and she's like, I don't understand why we aren't closer. I don't understand this and that. And I'm like, I've made it very fucking clear from my perspective of my inner child, that just feeling super disappointed by my parents, the emotional neglect, the emotional abuse, the manipulation, and all of these things, it's very fucking heartbreaking realizing that I really had to go through that as a child alone. And I see how the dynamic with my family and my parents, I'm just going to say my parents, because like my relationship with my family is distant, but like my parents, I feel like it just had the most impact, for lack of better words, and my grandma, I'll say. But anyways, as a child, you need proper love and nurturing. You know, when people bring you into this world, you know, they're supposed to be equipped with the tools to properly love you and nurture you and support you unconditionally. And that's just not something that I fucking received from them. And I'm grateful that even though, you know, I do feel the fucking pain and the void of not receiving that proper love and gentleness that I need, because like I said, I'm a very sensitive person. I need gentleness. I need patience. I need compassion. I need nurturing, right? And it's just like, I realize that I can't count on my family to give me that. And that really fucking breaks my heart, because it's like, why not? You know what I mean? It's just like, why not? And it's really fucking hard, like, and I have so much empathy for my inner child, because as a child I had to navigate this on my own, not really fully knowing and understanding that what I was experiencing, the household that I was in and my relationship with my mom was not healthy. It was not normal. And these dynamics have been borderline dysfunctional. I see that like I'm a generational curse breaker. I see that the work that I'm doing is to put an end to these toxic cycles and continuing to pass down the trauma and just the lack of like unconditional love in this family, in my family. And going to your family, wanting to talk to them about the ways that they have caused harm, about certain things that they do, you do that so hopefully they can see it and change it. Because I realize like the reason why I've held on so much is because I value and love my parents very deeply. And I've felt like there is something wrong with me for constantly going back, for constantly thinking that if I just communicate in a certain way, if I just, you know, filter out this, but say this, then things are going to be differently and things are going to change. But it's like most of this, my relationship with my family has required me to shut down parts of myself to keep the safety, to keep the peace, to not make them uncomfortable or feel guilty. And it's just like, all of it is fucking bullshit. Like, this is some fucking bullshit. Like, say it with me, y'all. This is some fucking bullshit. Like, it really is. And I'm grateful that I'm able to see things for what they are, because I don't want to bypass the pain that I feel from feeling misunderstood, from not feeling like a priority to my family. My feelings are invalid, that there's no space for how I feel, that how I feel is just an overreaction, or it's just me being sensitive, and all of these things that I've internalized and believe about myself based on how my relationship has flowed with my family. A lot of their projections that I now see as projections just recently, honestly, like within like the past month, it's clicked for me that it's been projections of their own wounds, and them not being able to see themselves, them running away from themselves, and living, and like I'm an adult, and I'm not saying this as if I'm a victim to these circumstances because I'm an adult and I can take myself out of this equation. But there are things going through behind the scenes that are just, you know, learning to navigate how to leave this house. But anyways, I don't even know if I already said this, but I live in a family that I wouldn't say is traditional, but it's traditional in the sense of like career, and traditional in the path where, you know, you have to get a job, you have to go to school. Those are like apparently the only ways to them that is gonna guarantee you having your shit together or having success in those capacities. And I get that. That might have worked for them, but I see that my life is meant for something more than that. I see that those are not my only options. And for me, those aren't even really true options for me because I have no genuine desire or aspiration to fulfill those paths that are being projected onto me by my family. I have no desire to absorb their limitations on what is possible. And I have no desire to take advice from people whose lives I don't want, and from people who are not doing the work to liberate themselves from their own pain, their own trauma, their own limitations, and their own conditioning. And, you know, navigating putting up boundaries, and the person that I'm trying to put up boundaries with, the person that I'm trying to communicate and be vulnerable with, is clearly very much expressing that they don't care about how I feel, that they don't consider how I feel when they say and do certain things, that they are very much like it's their way or no way, that it doesn't matter what I want, and just completely just like not considering me in any capacity, not willing to listen to me, not willing to hear me. And it's just like, my mom has heard me in the past, but like, just because somebody hears you in a conversation doesn't mean that they're actually going to integrate what you told them or what they heard, which is very much prominent because, like, as somebody who's been on a healing journey, I've shared a lot of things that I've learned through my healing, like learning to regulate my nervous system. And I've shared those things with my mom. I don't regret sharing them, but I realize that just because, you know, somebody is willing to listen to you when it comes to information that is very much valuable, we do live in a capitalistic society that benefits from you not knowing who you are, from being disconnected from yourself, from being tired, exhausted, and hungry all of the fucking time. And kind of seeing how my family participates in that kind of rat race thing. And like, I'm very empathetic too. So it's like, I feel my mother's pain. I feel her struggle. I feel her being tired. I've even become like accustomed and hyper vigilant to the way she breathes. If she sighs a breath of disappointment, I can sense that, and I can sense my body becoming like hyper vigilant in a way where it's like concerned, or just like looking behind my back, my shoulder, if she's gonna yell at me, if she's gonna go off on me at some point because I might not have, you know, reached this standard of doing enough or accomplishing enough for her to be happy. It's like, what I do and don't do, what I'm accomplishing to her standard or to her expectations, it's like that affects her so much. And I think that's so fucking weird. Like, it's like, I get that you're my parent and you want the best for me, but also you have your own fucking shit. And it's just like, it's frustrating because it's like, I see her projections. I see where a lot of the things that she's doing is coming from, because a lot of it really has nothing to do with me, and it has to do with her own misery. And like, I hate to say it, but it's the damn truth. And it's just like, even when I tell her certain things, like, she's like, there's something needs to change. And she's referring to me getting a job or me going to school or doing something that she wants to have control over, basically. And I'm like, no, you're just projecting the fact that your inner world wants you to change, that you need to take accountability for yourself. And she's like, I don't need to take accountability for anything. I don't need to change in all of these things. And I just like, it becomes clearer and clearer every time we have a conversation on how unwilling she is to face herself and how much she wants to take it out on me. And, you know, I don't want to make it too much about her, because, like, yes, it is about her, but it's also about me. And just, like, how I feel in this situation. Even when she wants these things from me, when she expects these things from me, but when I want to talk to her and have a conversation about her, about, you know, having a healthy relationship with her, all of a sudden, oh, you just need to grow up. Oh, you need to stop trying to make me feel guilty for all the things that I've done in the past. And it's just like, you expect all of these things from me, but when I try to actually talk to you about something that actually fucking matters, it's a problem. From my perspective, I felt that emotional disconnection for a long time, and it's just like, you don't really know what it is when you're younger, but I know what it is now. I feel it, and I just, like, for me, in a relationship, I need emotional connection. I need emotional intimacy. I need somebody who's able to listen to me and just not dismiss me and my emotions, and view my emotions with malicious intent, like I'm trying to manipulate you and the situation. Like, I need somebody who cares about my emotional world and my emotional needs, and obviously vice versa, because I wouldn't ask for something that I know that I'm not capable of giving back. I know my capacity to give love, and I am a very loving, very nurturing person, but I feel like I've overextended myself a lot. And I've overextended myself because with the expectation that, well, if I continue to overextend myself, if I continue to try to repair our relationship, then, you know, it'll work. But I realized, like, it's not my job to repair something that I didn't fuck up in the first place. And I'm so grateful, because while this situation has been rough on my mental health and my emotional health, it's also helped me take my power back in learning how to love myself and choose myself, and learning how to reparent my inner child, and to, you know, not necessarily fix any void that I feel within, but realize and recognize that the dynamics in this family are not healthy, are not normal, they are very dysfunctional, and that I can learn to love myself in a functional, healthy way, that I can learn my needs and I can learn how to meet them. A hard truth that I've had to kind of sit with and learn how to navigate, and creating boundaries, and realizing that I'm not meant to take my family with me as I grow and as I move forward in my life. My path is not conventional. It is not normal. It is not going to be a 9-to-5 going to college type of path. And I've learned to accept that, and that's fucking okay. Like, I don't want to do that, and I don't have to. I don't have to do that just because my mom told me to. Because you're telling me that I have to get a job, but when I want to have a more emotional connection with you, when I actually want to have a functional, healthy mother-daughter relationship, that's just too much. That's just too much. I notice how, like, when I have these conversations with my mom or try to initiate them, I regress into the emotional maturity that I was when I was younger, when I was a child. A lot of the ways that I would, you know, attempt to get my needs met or would cry out for help is, I guess, acting out. And that wasn't received well by my family, or my mom at least. And other people, other family members are looking from the outside, and they don't fully see the abuse and neglect because it is on an emotional level. I feel so much love for my inner child, because just knowing and being who I am and knowing what I know now, and really, like, seeing things as they were, and allowing myself to really process and just accept the lack of love and nurturing, and the pain that has caused for a lot of my life, is something that's just so fucking heavy. Navigating that and allowing myself to process that in the same house with the person who kind of perpetuated that in the first place. And, you know, when I cry, I allow myself to sob, and I fully fucking feel it. My mom hearing me crying and just coming in my room, and it's just like, I don't know how to tell her that I'm crying and processing, you know, being molested at like 7 years old, and that's something that I've never fucking told anybody before. It's like, I want to tell her. The thing is, I want that, and I feel like wanting that relationship with her, wanting to trust her, wanting her to be a safe space for me is never gonna go away. But the thing that kind of stops me from doing that is I know that I'm not gonna receive the love and the nurturing and the acceptance and the space that I need and deserve from her. So hard. It's so fucking hard. There's videos on TikTok that I see, you know, people saying that you can't heal from the place that caused the trauma in the first place. And while I do think that's somewhat true, I feel like I'm definitely making progress in my healing journey. I still have my space from her when I leave. When she leaves, I'm still able to process in the comfort and the safety of my own room and learning to provide myself with the safe space and the love and the nurturing that I need, that I know that I am not going to receive from my mom. The thing about it is also kind of gets me is knowing that the reason I'm not getting that from her is because she was never probably given that. She was never shown that in her upbringing. She probably experienced her own abandonment and lack of love and nurturing from her parents. And I feel for my mom. I really do feel for her because she deserves that just as much as I fucking do. Everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves to receive just proper love and nurturing from the people who brought you into this fucking world. Because when you don't receive that from the people who brought you into this world, you just feel like you're not meant to be here. It kind of just, I've always felt like I was a mistake. I've always felt like I was just an inconvenience and a burden in these people's lives, that my life, their lives would be just better without me here. I've always felt that pain. Not having a job, I guess not having these things that you're supposed to have at this stage in your life, which is a whole different thing, because I genuinely think that is like literal capitalist, colonialist mindset propaganda that has been installed to literally everybody, that, you know, you're seen as valuable or less valuable depending on if you have a roof over your head, or if you have a car, or if you're succeeding and achieving in these ways that are viewed as acceptable and applaudable by society. I'm learning to reject that, because just because society says that these are things that you should be having, or my family says these are things that I should be having, and just trying to make me feel bad, and I feel like worthless and useless and just like less valuable because I don't have these things. But I realize like that's such fucking bullshit. It kind of disgusts me that because these are not, that I'm not like going after these achievements and these milestones that I guess I'm expected to go after, being treated like, because I'm not doing these things that that they tell me that I should be doing, that I don't deserve respect, or that like that me not doing me not meeting these expectations is the problem, is the reason why, you know, there's no peace in the house, is the reason why my mom is treating me the way that she feels very comfortable in treating me. And like I said, I know I'm an adult. I know I don't have to tolerate. I know I don't have to stay here. Trust me, I know that. Trust me, I am figuring that out. I'm also pouring into myself. I'm also creating more. A lot of this pressure that I feel from the outside is helping me turn into a diamond. Babe, I'm that fucking diamond, okay? Trust and believe me. There's a lot of pain and grief in this process. There's also a lot of power in it. If I'm repeating what I've already said, just maybe I just need to say it again, just as a reminder for me and anybody else who can relate to the situation. This is helping me get back into myself and my creativity. It's helping me really just step into my own fucking power. It's like love myself. It's helping me help other people. Situation is not ideal. It's lighting a fire under my ass to not necessarily like fix myself, but to just make changes and not the changes that my mom thinks I should be making, changes that I want to make for my path, for my greatest and my highest good. Because the changes that my family wants me to make are not changes that are in alignment with my greatest and my highest good. That I've had such a strong attachment to since I was very young, because of abandonment wounds, because of rejection wounds, and just feeling like I need them in my life to be able to function and to navigate my life. The thing is, one of my biggest fucking fears is playing out in real time, which is letting go and detaching from my parents and my family, not counting on them anymore in a lot of different ways. I'm grateful that I have the time that I do, because I do have a lot of fucking time on my hands because I don't work. I don't go to school. I'm learning to not feel ashamed about that, because it's not really anything to be ashamed of. It's only something to be ashamed of because people are projecting that shame onto you. People are projecting and seeing you as less valuable and less useful because you are not chasing and achieving all of these things that they have been taught you are meant to chase and achieve. Tea break. Y'all, hold on. Girl, that lemon, yuck. It's still good though, just that lemon. When I pour myself another cup, no more lemon, babe. There's two ways. I can get stuck in that I'm never going to be loved, that I'm always going to be misunderstood and all of these things. And like, some of that is true when it comes to my family, but like, there are people that I have yet to meet. There are places that I have yet to experience. There are communities that I have yet to join or create that are going to support me and celebrate me and accept me for just who I am. But that will happen when I initiate that within myself first. And that is what I'm doing. And healing at home has really initiated me into this, has really initiated me into reclaiming more of my power. I can create more for myself. I have been doing things differently. A lot of the things that I've been doing differently is stuff that was not being seen by my mom. I don't have to prove myself to her. And I shouldn't have to prove myself to her for her to accept me, for her to understand me. I'm not going to be understood by her. I'm not going to be understood by the degree that I need or want. And it makes sense that she doesn't fully understand me, or that she doesn't see or thinks or perceives me as somebody who's not doing anything. But that's also because I don't show her what I do. Because I don't trust her. I live in my head a lot. And I realize how conditioned I have been to overthink, to prepare how situations and conversations are going to go, to prepare what I'm going to say and what I'm going to say and how that's going to lead to certain things, or if it's going to lead to an argument. I'm also unlearning a lot of conditioning, how to survive and navigate this dynamic with my mom, to survive. But now that I'm, I guess, more vocal and more in my truth and just not complying, basically, it's like I can feel shit being shaken up. Me living in my truth, me rejecting what it is that you are trying to get me to do is causing you to feel this way about me, to express how you really feel about me, what you really think about me, is heartbreaking. This needed to happen for me to detach, honestly, because like I said, I've been so attached to my parents, especially my mom, for the longest fucking time. I've always joked about never talking to my family again, but when it really like came down to it, a part of me really didn't want that. A part of me really held and attached to the potential of us having a healthy relationship. It's not just up to me for that relationship to actualize, it's also up to the other person, the other party. I'm learning to validate and accept that I do not want to be in relationships with people who are not willing to liberate themselves, who are not willing to put in the work, who are not willing to take accountability for how they are putting a wedge in between us. Part of me does feel guilty for cutting them off, because a part of me still feels like this is my responsibility, that this is my fault, that I just need to continue to try to fix it, that I need to continue to try to show up perfectly in their eyes. But doing that would require me to set aside everything that I've learned, to set aside my truth, to set aside what I desire on a soul level, and to comply. But I'm not willing to sacrifice my truth for them anymore, because I've been sacrificing my truth to keep the peace within my relationships with them. But if me choosing my truth is causing this reaction from them, then fuck it. Literally fuck it. And it's easy to say that, because when it really comes down to it, if my mom were to walk in here right now, I would fucking probably cry, or I would like have to go away and I'd be upset. But that's valid, because that is a normal fucking reaction that happens when people are yelling at you, trying to make you feel small, talking down to you like you're fucking nothing, as if you're not a human being with human fucking emotions. Like, that would be a very natural, normal reaction for me to have, especially somebody who is very sensitive. That would be very normal for me to have, to be upset, to be angry and frustrated. Nobody fucking wants to be yelled at and constantly being told what they're doing wrong. I spoke my piece with this. I know that I'm probably not alone in this situation. I see you and I fucking hear you. You are not alone. Trust me, I know this shit is hard, but just remember that the fact that you are willing to do the hard work, that you have the courage to dive deep into yourself, to face yourself, is admirable. Don't let the fact that your parents don't see you for who you are, or they don't fully understand you or fully love you and nurture you in the way that you deserve, stop you from loving and nurturing yourself. I know from the lack of love that I've experienced from them, it's caused me to view myself as somebody who's unlovable, somebody to believe that I'm unlovable. But that's not true. Just because I haven't experienced the love that I fucking deserve, the love that is my birthright from the people who brought me in this world, is not a reason to not learn how to give myself that. Because learning to love yourself when you haven't fully experienced real healthy love, it's a journey. It's a practice. You have to practice to love yourself. You have to practice to learn to accept yourself. You have to practice to do the opposite of what you've experienced. You have to practice to show yourself the opposite of cruelty and abandonment and rejection. And that takes time. And that's where I'm at. I'm able to do that. And another way that I'm able to love myself is to pour into my passion projects, is to make art, to write poetry, to fucking paint, to make YouTube videos, to fucking be with my dog. Like, I love this little boy so much. I hope you guys like this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.